Camera for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Sound for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Makeup for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Medic for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Grip department for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Production for Donny.
Go for Donny.
David for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Adam for Donny.
Go for Donny. Gentlemen, what's up? I'm so happy that we're all three together to chat on my little podcast that we created. How you guys doing? We got David Silberman right here and the Adam McFarlane as well. How you guys?
Doing well. Doing well.
Better now that we finally got the invite.
I mean, you know, it's that slow snail mail, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry.
He started with the guys in front of the camera, the guys running the camera, and now he's talking to the guys that set everything up.
Yeah, that's right. See? It must have been my Yahoo account. I don't know.
Sure.
AOL.
That makes sense. That checks out.
Right. Oh, so what have you guys been up to? I mean, clearly we haven't worked together in a while. So everybody knows, I guess I should intro these guys. So both of these gentlemen were producers on Top Gear USA with myself and Rupert Smith and Dan DeCastro, who are on. And they were amazing in what they did. They weren't only amazing in what they did, but we really found a friendship that I just never have replicated throughout the shows. And it's so much fun. And guys, the reason why we started this podcast is because all the stupid things that we did and all the crazy stories that we talk about from our time on Top Gear. And that's why I brought you guys here. So that way, maybe you guys could share some fun, crazy behind the scenes stories that the audience might want to hear a little more about. So,
yeah, for sure.
You know, but Sylvie, what have you been up to? First of all, how you been?
I've been great. I actually, since leaving Top Gear, I've been in the car field this whole time making car shows, so I feel very lucky.
Wow.
Went to the Grand Tour, which is great, and worked with Adam a little bit there, and then
What?
from that,
You guys both were on Grand Tour?
We did
Yeah.
the opening. We did the opening episode. That
Oh,
whole
I remember
big
that. That whole
parade.
$1 million thing out there.
It was
like
silly.
$5 million
Oh, it was like
for
easily
like
5
4
million.
minutes or something
Yeah,
stupid like that.
Yeah. We
And
both
we were like,
both
if we
set
just
that
had
up.
that budget for our show.
Damn, that must have been cool.
I forgot
mean,
about that. Holy crap!
Feel
know,
free,
that
feel
was-
free, gentlemen. I mean, that's a really cool. Anything fun behind the scenes that happened on that thing that you can
Oh
share?
my god.
Yeah, Jeremy Clarkson flicked his cigarette butt at me. That was awesome. So,
All right,
Didn't,
so
didn't
that's
you also
winning.
hear him get super pissed at like an AP about a rosé and not the right bottle of rosé? And oh my god, we're in the middle of like Lancaster and he's not happy with the quality of that. I remember that.
we were it was after the shooting, and like, that was hilarious. We were in the hotel lobby, and it might have been an AP. It was part of the British team. I mean, to be fair, he brought in, apparently Jeremy Clarkson loves rosé, and this dude brought in rosé from Walmart. So
We were out at El Toro, or not El Toro, the dry lake bed, El Mirage. So I don't know if it was like we had the best selection.
well,
Yeah.
he wanted the stuff from the UK to be brought in.
Oh,
Oh, the rosé from the UK.
Rosé from the UK. And yes, he flat out said to him, "This is not my fucking rosé. Where's my fucking rosé?" And the kid goes, like, "I have this rosé from Walmart, which didn't go over well." And he goes, "What are you doing tonight?" The kid goes, "Just going out." He's like, "No, you're not. You're getting my rosé." And funny story, years later, one of the guys, Joe Barry, who was another producer, was sitting at the table way at the end. There was probably like 15 of us at the table. I didn't even know who he was. We met like 3 years ago and became friends, and he had the same story. I'm like, wait a minute, I was there, and we
like
realized
told
we're
it
at the same.
independently.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
aren't
we're
those the
at the
best
same
stories when
table.
you're like, yes, see, it happened. It was,
Yeah.
it happened.
Validation.
Wait, you were there?
Yeah.
Like the Spider-Man gift.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. All right, a crazy Clarkson story.
Yeah, it was fun. And now I'm working on Hot Rod Garage on Motor Trend, so it's been fun.
Nice. And what's that about?
Hot Rod Garage is. Thanks for watching, Donny.
Well, I'm asking you to explain what it's about. I'm sorry, Sylvie. I'm just like
That's
giving
right.
you a little platform here to say, hey, this is what the show's about. This
No,
is
I appreciate that. Yeah, we're shooting season 12. Um, we take American muscle or classic cars that, maybe been around the block a little bit, may not be run too well or whatever, and we really just like kind of muscleize them, we'll throw in big V8s, we'll
oh yeah.
fix rear ends and, kind of like get them running, but it's not a makeover show. We're not really painting cars that much. So we did paint one this season, which for the first time, but we're really just like getting these cars out and we're having fun with them. We're doing burnouts, we're drag racing. We probably have this like $100,000 plus Savoy that we built and we're drag racing it and just
Oh,
What
a
was
lot
nice.
of
out at
fun.
the dry lake bed? Was that for hot rod?
Yeah, we had an old Roadster, like an old 30s Roadster that Alex Taylor is the driver for it, and our other host is Lucky Costa, and they built it together. And we kept on trying to go out to El Mirage, funny enough,
Oh
Adam,
my gosh.
to
Oh, Mirage.
get out and yeah, to go out and run it, but it kept on getting rained out. Everything was getting rained out. Because to film out there, it needs to be completely dry for like 2 or 3 weeks up until the shooting. And then this last time it was too hot, so they canceled the event. But we said, screw it, we're going anyways. And we went and it was amazing. The thing ran fantastic.
How hot was it?
Oh, it was like 113 or something
Oh,
like that.
what? Oh,
Oof,
Eh,
what?
oof, oof.
you're in the
Oh,
desert in the middle of summer, so it is
Yeah.
what it
What
is.
do we
yeah, I
expect?
guess that's what you're
Yeah,
asking for. All right. I mean,
100%.
talk about the Mirage, like literally the
Yeah,
Mirage you must have seen because of the heat.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I dig
that's
that.
pretty cool. All right. Right on. McFarlane, what have you been doing, my friend?
Oh boy, man! Since Top Gear days, it's been quite a journey. I did Grand Tour with Silby. I worked on Mythbusters briefly. Dabbled in like the science shows. Did a show called White Rabbit Project for Netflix. It was with the three sidekicks from Mythbusters, so Tori Carey
Very
and
cool.
Grant Imahara. That was super fun. And then from there, kind of jumped into a little bit of commercial stuff. Ended up leaving Los Angeles, moved north to Washington State, which is where I am now. Briefly did about 6 months in event production. Uh, went to the Super Bowl in 2020.
What? Nice.
Did a project for Verizon where we basically built a 10,000 square foot pop up Verizon store, and it was wild. It was like an 8 week build in Miami before the Super Bowl. I actually went to the Super Bowl in 2020. It was my first day off in 40 days.
Holy cow.
Fell asleep during the third quarter. Completely fell asleep during the Super Bowl, sitting right at the end zone, right behind the field goal. So I've done that.
People always think our lives are so luxurious, and what we do is so
No,
glamorous. It's so
no,
glamorous what
no,
we do.
no.
And
It's
it's
absolutely
called
not.
the end zone, Adam. It's not behind the field goal. It's behind the end zone.
Well, I'll go ahead
Yeah.
and say that would probably be my depth of football knowledge.
You did fall asleep during the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we bought tickets because we didn't even know if we were going to even have the day off. So we bought tickets 2 days before the Super Bowl. I had to go and buy them from a reseller. We paid we billed it back up to Verizon, so Verizon ultimately paid $7,500 a ticket. We
Holy
paid
cow.
for these tickets. Yeah.
Jesus.
Hey, that's some cheddar.
Yeah, it was wild. We had this whole big dome theater that was like a 50-person seating thing. The whole goal was it was going to travel. This whole setup was going to travel around the country and show off how Verizon was going to use 5G at stadiums and how like you'd be able to interact with cameras and see all this extra stuff because of 5G. And then this was January, February 2020. So obviously a lot of shit went down in 2020.
Oh no.
And we left Miami, we went to Vegas and we're scouting Vegas for the NFL draft where we were going to set it up again. And literally we were in the parking lot where the draft was going to be when the calls started to come in that like public events were shutting down. NFL was going, oh, maybe we won't do public. Maybe we'll just do cameras and the NFL players. And so all of these, corporate sponsors were like, well, if there's not going to be a public, what the heck are we doing? So everybody kind of started to pull out. We were going to go to Indy 500. We were going to go to Coachella. we were going to travel around this thing, and basically all of it got scrapped. Yeah. And so that job basically ended. And then for like 6 or 8 months, I was a handyman. I did painting. I did all kinds of random stuff like that. Did 2 years at a cabinet shop, building cabinets, managing a cabinet shop. And then now for the last year and a half, I've been a project manager at a architectural finish company. So I do corporate buildings. Like we do projects for like Amazon and Microsoft, where we'll build out like, all their insides and all the different kind of decorative finishes and stuff like that.
Very cool. Wow.
So different, same thing as a producer, just different end result. Instead of minutes of TV, I'm putting things in a building. So it's a lot of the same skill sets that just transferred.
Well, good thing you still have some memories of some crazy productions.
Very much so. Very much so.
That's awesome. All right. Hey guys, stay tuned for Go for Donny. Switch channel 2, where we're going to get a chance to ask our guests some more questions that you, the listeners, want answers to. We'll also have an amazing car enthusiast later on. It is knowledge of all types of vehicles and ask some questions from his perspective. The catch is there. Max is only 16, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, catching it. It'll be a lot of fun. I talk about camaraderie a lot, and it feels like we had some great camaraderie going on with our crew, and that's why we had so much fun, and that's why every crew member I've talked to is basically the same thing. Is like they just haven't been able to replicate that. We just had something special, and we got on really well, and we got each other's sense of humor, and we took the piss out of each other, but we still enjoyed each other's company, even outside of work. So
100%.
Yeah,
it's
really cool.
And I guess this isn't just our business; it's any business. Your job really, a lot of it has to do with the people that are around you. I mean, we happen to love what we did, but even if we didn't, just being together would be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because like even not all the shoots are great. There are some shoots that were just awful, but since we're together, we make it work. And I do think that it kind of shows on screen too, because like we're human beings, the hosts, they're human beings. Like it's hard just to turn it on like a light switch. So when the cameras aren't rolling and we're having a blast with ourselves being friends, then all of a sudden you start rolling, that does show up, even if we're doing like that tractor episode, which is awful.
Oh, man.
I was gonna say Appalachian Trail. That would be my like hellhole of an episode was Appalachian Trail.
Man, I liked the tractor episode. Well, I mean, the only reason I liked it is because let me tilt that down, because I was driving the tractors around.
I was like, you got to drive the tractor.
That
was fun. I mean,
it's hard to make a good episode when the fastest anything's ever going to go is 10 miles an hour.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's the thing.
It was a challenge.
It was a Case, a John Deere, and I think a Caterpillar.
It was the yellow one. It was the
Case was a big hydraulic articulated one. The John Deere, I think, was
like a combine, like a harvester, like a big old, or was it not
like
quite?
It was a front end loader, just articulated.
Oh, okay.
I forget the last
one. And the Deere
had
it was like the dually,
It was like a quad dually, so like a front dually, back dually.
I got pictures of that somewhere.
Oh man, that's good. The part that I always think of too, when I especially as you were bringing up the show and you kind of start to look back and you go I'm looking at a picture that's April 2010, and it's I don't know if the term is the climate of reality TV production was way different, so different.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And especially I was fortunate enough to kind of start. I think I came on before they'd even locked in all the hosts. So it was super early. Yeah, It was super early. And I think I came on as an associate producer, and it was, we hadn't committed to all three. I want to say we only even had maybe Adam, or I don't know who was first.
I thought you worked on the original pilot with
Corolla. No, I didn't do the Corolla pilot.
Okay.
I didn't do the Corolla, but I did come on. They had still I came on shortly after Tabitha had done screen tests with Goldberg in a smart car. I was right after that. And the crazy part about it was, especially when you think about how shows are run now, or how we there are four episodes I know never aired. And like thinking about a show that would shoot entire segments that set a whole crew out, and it just was like, nope, that didn't work, let's keep going. Nope, that didn't work, let's keep going. Like, so like when I think about like why this crew, or why we kind of all still jive, was like we were allowed to figure stuff out together. And it wasn't like hey, this is, we have to do this now. Like it wasn't until I think even the later seasons where we were being way more conscious of booking cruise time, where we're like, we need to shoot everything all in one go. Like season 1, we'd go out, do a shoot, everybody would come back. We'd go out, do a shoot, everybody would come back. And so it was like a way different, I don't know, vibe. And so, and for me, it was my first, I would call it like my first legit show. Like I was a production assistant, I was an AP or a coordinator on a couple things beforehand, but like that was the show that I was like, I'm really doing this. Like,
Dude,
this
what a
is
show to
show.
get your chops on too, Adam.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you know,
it
I
was
try to
wild.
explain it. It's a different show. It's a different type of show altogether.
For sure.
This, people that are in the industry, may know, they may not even know, to be honest, but like people that don't do it, I don't think realize you can't take a regular producer from a regular show and put them in a car show like this.
Doesn't work.
It does not work. And
For sure.
like I've worked on Cupcake Wars and America's Got Talent and like Idol and a lot of these like big shiny floor shows. And then going to this, yeah, you're making TV, but it is not the same thing at all. I mean, here's an example that one year that after we got canceled, which should have never happened, and when it came back with the other hosts and a crew that didn't know anything about cars,
Oh,
the
yeah.
hosts were rewriting scripts because the wrong cars would show up. I was hearing from some people like kind of underneath, like, for example, let's say like, we're doing a AMG 63, something like that for, for our payoff or something. And a base E-Class shows up kind of thing. Because maybe the producer is like, it's a Mercedes, like that kind of thing, where if you don't specifically know what you're doing, the entire thing blows up. Because you're saying, Adam, everyone shows up. Donny shows up, the showrunner, the host, everyone shows up. And then, we'll probably get into this later. Adam and I, were most of it, then, some of the other producers, but Adam and I were really in charge of getting the cars. And the amount of pressure that is in having the right car show up, that's everything. I mean, and then it's like, is there gas in the car? Little things you don't think of. Like, and this
Yeah.
has happened before,
Yeah.
and Tanner gets in, and he's like, it's like under a quarter of a tank, and I'm supposed to slide this around all day.
For
And it's
sure.
like, oh, we forgot that little
Whoops.
detail.
Yeah, we
It's
forgot
like,
about that.
yeah, and it's just there's so many tiny like spare tires because he's going to go through a set of tires in about 20 minutes. So it's just having all of this stuff. It's incredible how many things you can forget. And the problem is, if you forget one of them, the shoot is done.
I thought you were going to say it's incredible that we didn't have a hydraulic jack until 5 seasons on the show. I thought that's what you're going to say.
It's,
Yeah.
the budget was not lined out correctly.
Could have stretched it out. Couldn't afford that hydraulic jack to change any of those tires that you had to change.
I think that on site, like having like a mechanic out there with us,
Yeah,
like in
that
those
too.
later episodes, you're like,
Yeah.
that was really, really
Yeah.
something we probably should
Oh
have
my
had.
God.
Yeah,
The
so
mechanic,
often.
Donny,
Yeah, like, yeah.
No, I don't know if you were out there. Were you in Florida when that mechanic was drinking like 32 Mountain Dews a day?
Oh,
When
Was
that-
it the I don't know, was it the with the
Which
old
Florida?
older guy and which Florida?
yeah, which
Yeah,
episode?
Corvette? I mean,
right after Adam broke his shoulder and we hired the old guy to
Yes,
drive the
yep,
red Corvette
yep.
and he crashed it
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Yeah.
with Adam in the car.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was there. That was
freaking
somewhere
silly.
like Coral Gables or something, I don't know, somewhere out there.
Yeah, we were
Silly.
in Naples. We drove through Alligator Alley and this guy was supposed to be an old stunt driver and
That's
we
right.
hired him to drive Adam around and
That's right.
he crashed the car and bent the wheel.
Oh man.
Oh God.
Whoops.
Oh God. Sometimes you don't find exactly the right people. And sometimes it's hard to interview somebody over the phone when you're like, hey, you're a stunt driver, you're good. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And then you realize,
Who
not
was an
good.
old man in like a C5 Corvette? It sort of made sense at the time.
Yeah, totally. I
You know.
was like, okay, he can handle this. I mean, I could see him, no problem. But I guess it was a problem.
I guess it was a
Then
problem.
we have some rat
Yeah,
rod car too, some crappy rat rod,
that Rat Rod,
right?
Rut, for whatever reason, he always chose the most bizarre, unique cars,
Yeah,
but they always worked.
yeah.
Like it could be miserably uncomfortable,
You
but
mean
they worked.
you mean like his amphibious vehicle that worked, that got him across the to Toronto?
It made it across the ocean.
Made it across,
That
made it across. The other two sank.
it,
Still down there,
Yeah.
right?
Let I remind you that
I don't think
they
we're supposed to
sank.
say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure now this is admitting of something that says, hey,
You mean the
statute
video?
of limitations?
What are you
Statute of
talking about? The
limitations?
video that they showed it going down? Like, come
But it's
on,
TV. You don't really know. In TV,
come
you don't
on,
really know.
come on.
That's very true.
But anyways, I mean, they may have made
No,
it over. I know that Rutledge's vehicle made it. You're
I
right.
do know there were a handful, at least for that hit me, like repercussions post episode airing, where something aired and I got a call that was like, what the hell, guys? And two of them jump out. One of them was Big Rigs.
Oh, no.
Who did Big Rigs? The semis in Michigan?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, I was up there with the
Okay.
logging.
No. That was Washington. That was the logging truck episode. We did
Oh, the
one,
big rigs where they race the big rigs.
and we went to like the Eaton Proving Ground, and then they drove. It basically did a pretty good copy of the UK one where we drove fireworks and a truck, yada yada. But we had went through this whole DOT conversation where we're like, they're not licensed. We know they're not licensed. We need them to drive on the open road. If they have a licensed driver in the cab with them, is it okay? And if we have police with them, is it okay? I got like emails from DOT. I got like emails from the police. And like months after the episode aired, we got hit with like, hey, what the hell were you guys doing? We're I don't know if it was fine or they were trying to come after us.
Wow.
And luckily we had like a paper trail that was like, no, here's Mark at the, Michigan DOT that said this is okay. And here's the person that we had. And they were like, oh, okay. And then the other one was CHP with the cop versus motorcycle.
Yeah. We were
Where
just talking about that. Yeah.
where basically I had filled out permits and said we were going to do whatever. We were going to do 100 or 75. I don't remember exactly what speed we said we were going to do, but I talked to Miguel Lovano, I think was the CHP rep. I said, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. Great, yada, yada. We get out there and we have eight CHP.
Easily.
10?
I was in the lead car. Easily.
Yeah, and a sergeant. So we had ground people, we had a sergeant, and I remember that sergeant going, what do you want to do? And us going, can we shut down the whole Vincent Thomas Bridge? And he's like,
sure.
Yeah, sure. And we're like, oh, okay. And so we did. And it was July 5th. It was crazy crowded. And I remember freaking, obviously, Tanner and whoever that motorcycle guy was, Eddie Evaldi, I can't remember. He anyway hauled ass clearly over the Vincent Thomas Bridge at whatever 150, and I got a very angry phone call from the CHP rep where he was like, "You guys didn't permit that," and I was like, "Well, your guys said we could do it," and they're like, "They're not the boss," and I was like, "Well, I mean, they had the guns and they're sergeants and they had flashy lights, so what do you want me to do?"
Awesome. Oh my gosh. I remember that. I remember coming across the bridge. Every time he came across the traffic break, they would all be down there betting on how fast it was.
Yeah.
And someone had a gun and they're like, it was 150. I was like,
yeah.
Whoa, that's nar. That's cool.
Totally. And I just remember like you would play to the CHP and you just would like, you go up there. Donnie, you were great at it. You'd be like, hey, look, guys, here's what we want to do, but whatever works for you guys, how do you want to play it? And you let them flex their muscles a little bit, flash their lights, stop people, and they just let you get away with fuck all.
It was amazing. I mean, we were safe. It was all safe.
Oh no, totally. No, I mean, we weren't getting away like we were but it was like
was amazing.
controlled, but
Yeah.
the flexibility they gave you when
It was
you
amazing.
trusted them to do their stuff, they trusted us
Yep.
to do our stuff.
Yep.
It was wild.
It's
It was
pretty amazing
Yeah.
what like 2 extra large T-shirts can get you. You know,
Right? Or
Well, and
the
I think
bumpers.
there's
No, the
now
oh god,
the
bumper or
plates,
the license for the plates.
those, and we were told not to give those away.
Yeah,
I
those are
remember
money.
Alan Winter being like, "No, do not give those away."
We handed
yeah.
those
Well, let
out.
me tell you something. If we need to, shut down a road and go 150 miles an hour, then you're giving away a metal plate.
Currency.
Oh God, totally.
But another thing, Adam, I'm sure you have come across this too, which is kind of funny, is Top Gear UK would come to Southern California or wherever and wreak havoc. They would come, steal shots, fly around with no permits, and then get the hell out back to the UK. Then we would call, doing it the right way, and be like,
We would
"Hello, like LA
flack for
Film,
that.
like, oh, you
And they're
guys
like, "Hell
did
no,
this
you
here."
guys did
It's like,
this.
no, that wasn't
That
us.
wasn't
I
us.
swear. They go, it was Top Gear. I'm like, no.
And
we
we
would
used to have
be
like Tab couldn't talk to people, and we had to keep Rupert away because we're like, they're British sounding, so we can't have them talking to anybody. It needs to be all us talking to people.
We got to speak American to them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh my God.
same name, totally different show. Like
Oh
that
God, I
wasn't
forgot about
us.
that. I forgot about that.
So many times we had to like totally just like ease that water when they would come and just rip through the town and then
shit on the US and then get out.
Okay, so I mean, we might as well transition into Detroit right there because that's a perfect transition, Sylvie.
Don't forget to check out the new podcast, Go for Donny. And you're never too old for a good laugh.
And we're back, and we were talking about transitions because that's a perfect transition into Detroit. Sylvie?
Detroit was my very first shoot on the road. And
It was?
Yep, this was the very first shoot I had on the road.
When was that?
It must have been season 2 or 3, something like that.
So wait, did you do any studio? Did either of you do any studio?
Nope. But they did it. I was not invited. I was not invited to the studio portion.
Oh man. Well, that'll be we can pin that and we'll come back to that.
Yeah,
but let's do Detroit. Let's do Detroit.
Detroit.
That was the introduction to the most incredible job. Like I literally remember like it was yesterday. I remember showing up and we had 3 brand new, like newer cop cars there.
The
we
Caprice?
had the new Caprice, which was basically like an SS. Like
they call it the PPV, I think.
It was the detective car.
Yeah.
But it was still LS powered.
Yep.
Then we had the Hemi Charger.
Yep.
That was badass. Yeah, you sliding around, rear wheel drive.
Taurus SHO.
The Taurus SHO. That was my jam. That was my jam.
I remember I got in the Charger. This was for Beauty's Day. So Beauty's Day is we go out the day before the hosts show up and we get some of the driving shots that they don't need to be there for. You know, you see the helicopter, the drone shots, stuff like that, and the cars, like, a little behind the scenes for you guys. The hosts aren't always driving those cars.
The cat's out of the bag, guys. The three of us, actually, the 3 of us did most of the driving. Yeah.
I mean, if you see a car sliding like crazy, maybe that was me and not Tanner. Maybe.
There's no way to know. There's no way to know.
Hey, we talked about that, and when I was in that damn bug out car, and I had to get chased.
The Apocalypse vehicle?
That Apocalypse piece of crap. I got chased by Stig for some shots going up the hill, and he nailed me. Yeah. And then I also had to bust through a fence at 5 a.m. If you guys
as we were stealing it and asking forgiveness, not permission. It was a ask forgiveness, not permission. I do remember that.
It was just it busted through one street, through the fence, through like a house or something, down to the next, and that's another one we can come back to.
Jesus.
So anyhow,
the Cam Ronco, the Cam Ronco with the magic eye.
Piece of doo-doo. So Detroit was your first shoot with us, and that was awesome because we had all those 3 new cop cars that we got to play with out there.
Incredible. I don't know if you remember this, Donnie. I remember thinking to myself, these guys are awesome because we were on the same side streets where Tanner ended up getting us kicked out of Detroit. But we were there for Beauty's Day running some of those side streets. And This is my very first time ever running Beauty's Days, right? So I don't know what's gonna happen. You guys didn't really know me. I just remember there was a long straightaway with homes on both sides, and then like a 90-degree turn, and there was cameras set up with Rupert standing back there with you, Donnie. And he was just Rupert was just like faster, 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 faster. First of all, didn't know who the hell I was. And I'm in this like fucking Hemi Charger just flying at these cameras. I'm like, you guys don't know. I mean, I luckily could drive, but like, he's like faster. And I didn't go that fast because there's like,
Unforgiving.
I don't want to kill somebody. And there's cameras set
Well,
up.
it's your first
And
shoot. You don't want
I
to
know
get fired.
first shoot.
You
After
want
your
to keep
first
it
shoot, you
going.
only ease into it.
Yeah.
Rupert gets mad. He's like, because Rupert is doing this forever. You know, he's like, faster. So I had to go around and I go a little faster. And I could tell, like, I'm like, he wants me to essentially not Tanner slide, but, you know, like make some tire noise around.
Yeah.
And I remember I got in it and I'm thinking to myself, I'm getting a paycheck. Like, this
I'm
is
getting paid to drive this thing. I got to
this is
drive
my
faster.
job. This is my job right now, to drive as fast as I possibly can on a closed down public road. And I'm going to get paid on Thursday. And right then I thought, I will do whatever I can to keep this job. I am in love. And it
Yeah.
was just an incredible experience. And it's just, and we'll test this later. I mean, and I'm like, there's times when we're driving, you know, whether a Lamborghini or even an old piece of shit 1970 Caddy or whatever. And it's just, we're getting paid to do stuff that other people would pay to come and do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's absolutely the most incredible experience.
Well, I think one of the same thing. One of the very, very cool parts. I think it would have been season one. We did 3 Lamborghinis, and it was like the first time. So basically, I'm not sure if you guys have touched on kind of how the press car system works, where you
No, we haven't. Please explain. I'm sure they want to know.
You're about to
Yeah.
find out.
So the cool part was cool, weird, wild. Manufacturers all have vehicles. Probably Sylvie speak to it, but all kind of higher end trim packages of basically kind of every model, and they are available to press for different things.
And they are called press vehicles.
They are called press vehicles. Standard, like I feel like pretty early on, I mean, Top Gear UK obviously existed in the car psyche before us. But as far as like US-based shows that were accessing press cars and doing what we wanted to do, I don't think there were many shows before Top Gear that were wanting to do what we wanted to do to cars. And so it took convincing to talk to these companies and be like, hey, look, here's the plan. Well, this is what we want to do to it. This is what we are going to do to it. Is this still like, are you okay with this? And I remember Lamborghini, a lot of people have in-house people that you're talking to. You're dealing with somebody at Ford email address, at whatever. Lamborghini had a third-party ad agency that was running it, and there's this guy Kevin Fisher, and he was awesome. He 100% got it. And I remember calling and going, hey, look, we need 3 Lamborghinis. We got the Gallardo Superleggera. We got the Gallardo Balboni. So the manual metal gate shifted Gallardo.
Like eight or something like that. Oh.
Yeah, and then we got the Murcielago. So this is before the Aventador. This is before the Huracan or whatever. But they gave us all 3, and we went to the Lambo kind of storage garage off of 405 in like Santa Monica. The super nondescript. Rupert, myself, and Ryan Center, and they just handed us the keys on a Friday for a shoot that started on Monday.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I remember driving. I got the Superleggera. Rupert took the Balboni, and Center took the Murcielago, and it was a Murcielago SV. And I remember going up to Santa Clarita because we were shooting up 14 on the way to Inyokern. There's that state park up there, and we were shooting kind of some of those roads up there. So like I went up to sister's place in Santa Clarita. They were out of town, and I remember texting them a picture of their house, their little townhouse, being like, I just doubled the value of your house by parking this car in here. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm 25, and these guys trusted us with these cars. Like it was such a bizarre, amazing, wild experience. And that was, and then you go like, what they saw was a 42-minute like piece on just how cool their shit
how cool
was.
the
And you
car
go
was, yeah.
like Lamborghini then from that point on, I mean, I could call that Kevin Fisher up and be like, hey, look, we need a car. And he'd be like, great, here it is. Like, I just need to kind of know how long you're going to have it and what you're going to do to it. Cause we took that Murcielago SV and put it in a bull ring and drove it, did dirt donuts, did this whole intro that Rupert had in his brain. Where
I remember that. Yeah, it was real. Yeah.
I remember. And I think David, you can talk to this too. That was one of the coolest parts of the show was it was like, you'd sit around a table and you would just kind of bullshit ideas. And then it came to David and I and our fellow producers. And it was like, okay, make it happen. Rupert would be like, I want a bull. I need a bull ring. And you're like, okay. So you start making phone calls and you're chasing it around. And I'm talking to some guy in Northern California that trains bulls for Spain that sends him over there. And he's like, yeah, I've got 2 bulls. I'll totally bring him. And he's a matador and he's got the whole gear and comes down and we're in this bull ring in like out, I think actually out towards El Mirage, but we found a guy that had a big bull ring and did the whole art setup. And then Kevin Fisher, the Lamborghini rep, said that they were cleaning dirt out of that Murcielago for like 2 years. Every time they washed it, more dirt would come out. And it was wild. It was super wild because we just got to do stuff to cars that most of the time no one else was doing, which was just so rad.
Yeah, no, we had fun with them.
It was incredible. I mean, my neighbors thought I was absolutely loaded because like
just go on the random
cars. The cars that would show it. The best is when they drop it off at your house. I mean, there was a time when I had an Aventador and a new R8 sitting in my driveway, and it's just like Adam was saying. It's just we're younger, and these cars. It's just they trust these random, guys to just. It's like, I mean, I may or may not have taken dates out in them before, and it's just like, like the best. And I know there is no better high when, and Adam, you've gone through this, when we're shooting on Monday and they say to you, we can drop it off on Friday.
Man.
Oh my God. And you've got like an Aventador for the weekend.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're not even getting away with anything. They don't care.
Yeah. They don't care. No, I can use it.
It's rolling advertisement. They want the cars on the road. That's why they're press vehicles.
We were lucky. I got in on that with the Cadillac CTSV wagon. I took the wagon home for the weekend, and that was so much fun. People were looking over that beautiful. Car. People were looking like they pull up. They're like, "What is that?" I mean, it was before it really even came out. So
to talk about the CTSV, I remember during 1 and 2, maybe 2.5. I can't really remember how they broke it out, but we did the studio, right? So we had the Stig laps. We brought all the cars back and got to lap them. And one of the cool parts was I worked with Ryan Center, who was one of the supervising producers. Me and him ran the studios or the track stuff. So we worked with the Stig, we worked with the celebrities, but the Stig, so he did all 3 of those. He did the coupe, he did the 4-door, and he did the wagon, and just drooled over the wagon and how good it was around the track.
Oh man, but I bet
that was a super fun because the guys, Adam, Tanner, and the guys, they all drove the cars, but to get the perspective from the Stig on the cars and then talking to him through his helmet was just like such a surreal like thing. Like each season we named him a different Tom Cruise like character. So he was like John Anderton one year. He was, I can't remember who he was, but we ran through, that's who he was on the call sheet. It was one of those things that just made it feel like it was Top Gear because we took his identity so seriously.
Very seriously.
Even when he showed up later in the seasons and other things, it was still a very much he shows up off site, he loads into his thing.
In his minivan.
Away from sight.
I distinctly remember a time where I was dropping his rental car off at John Wayne Airport and being like, don't show me the rental contract. I don't want to know his name. I don't want to know his name. I mean, I know his name now. I know who he is now. But like then I was like, no, I don't want to know.
Mystery.
I don't want to know.
It was cool. I mean, you're like you said, you talk to him through the visor, and you don't know who it is. And most of the time, it was a lot of hand signals,
or just like
or head nod, or
say something to them. Yeah, it's always like,
Oh,
Yeah.
Stiggy.
Oh,
Well,
God, oh my.
But I think, oh yeah, go Adam.
No. I'm just like,
I
that
was
makes me
just,
think of
it,
story after story.
see,
it,
it goes. But hey, but wait, Sylvie, I just want to finish off
yeah,
Detroit because it was the
Oh
first
my,
shoot.
that's where it
We
started.
did go down a rabbit hole, and I just want to talk
yes.
about that because there are two things that happened in Detroit. One, we got kicked out of Detroit, and two, we got let back into Detroit, and that was because of you. And I just want to know how you worked that. You can talk about how we got kicked out of Detroit. I mean, I have video
Sergeant
of it. We talked
Stinson.
about it. It's
Okay,
hilarious. Let's hear
listen,
your take.
it was not Tanner's fault because we're the ones that got the permits, okay? And we permitted, it was cool because Tanner was driving an old cop car. You know, it was like an old Crown Vic. And he was sliding the hell out of it. And the whole point of it was we're in suburban streets. Like there were people living in these, like like a real cop. Like he was going through the neighborhoods, you know, kind of like Blues Brothers style, just sliding the hell. And
Blues Brothers.
we had it all permitted. The sergeant was there, but the problem was these people went out of their house. This wasn't our fault because they knew we were there. I don't know what Detroit, I don't know how they in their division does this, but we were permitted. But these kids, there's probably like 5 or 6 kids, walked out of the house and was sitting in the grass watching. And even Tanner, I mean, Tanner's obviously very
He referenced
careful.
them. He saw them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, but I remember him overwalking, like there's like bogeys out here, you know, like because so he comes flying around, and there's like kids sitting here, and he's essentially drifting. And Sergeant Stinson saw that,
So
and
let me stop you. So before that, she was standing right next to me right before I called action. She said, "Are they going to go fast?" I said, "No, action." And then they come ripping around the corner, and here comes Stig chasing Tanner. He does this a beautiful like right turn to a left turn into the alleyway, and then she turns to me and she's like, "I thought you said they weren't going to go fast." She goes, "You guys are out of here." I'm like,
Well, then, do you guys remember that then we dealt with the highway patrol that were
Yeah,
like,
the Stadies.
we're above them. If you want to go back to Detroit, we can go back to Detroit. Like
Yeah.
in that same shoot, they were like, if you want to film there, we're higher than
that was
them. We
after
outrank them.
we were escorted to the
Right.
city limits.
Right.
Yeah.
But then the freaking, candy drop troopers were like, no, we're higher. We can go
And they
back.
were
And I
great,
remember us
weren't
all
they?
being like, let's not do that. We
We
don't
don't
need
need a
to
beef.
like,
We don't need that beef. But they were
no.
great. They did give the boys a ride to the airport, just one of many escorted rides to the airport to get them there on time.
Which was amazing.
All the time.
That was so much. That was so much fun. I mean that was so much fun. I mean, Adam, were you there when we were in the hotel lobby and there was like a dance party? Remember that
It's a music
outside?
video. It's a
Oh, yes.
music
Yeah,
video happening.
and they
It
started
was, I mean,
making
it was
it rain.
street takeovers. I mean,
Yeah.
like, think about
Yeah.
it. It was a street takeover in
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
That's
It was
100% what it
insane.
was, or whatever year it was.
It was
We were like
amazing. And he was like
outside.
swiping cash. Like,
Oh my God. I just remember being like, what? And I remember being up on like the
It was
13th
amazing.
floor and it was late and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to go all the way down there to see it. And then I just remember looking out the window being like, that's fucking
we were in the
crazy.
restaurant. We were in that
I
bar
was upstairs.
downstairs.
I
Yeah.
think I was already out for the night.
It's like, is this really happening? That's really happening. Welcome to Detroit.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, so that was great. So we got kicked out then. She was like, you guys are out of here. We went and filmed upstate or outside the city limits with our stadies and got through the shoot.
Kind of fairground that we were able to finish off that
rodeo
Honda
stuff.
minivan versus the Crown Vics.
No, when we were out there, we went to the Ford Proving Grounds.
Remember that was new cars. That was with the new cop cars. Yeah.
That was all the same episode. We
Jesus,
had
that was a whole clusterfuck.
Yeah, we had the 3 new cars, but we also had 3
right.
Crown Vics.
Yeah, we did.
That we did a demolition derby.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, so that was some of the best time when we literally, because obviously Adam loves to be destructive with cars, but when we give him an actual car that you are supposed to be destructive, those guys, oh my
That's when
God,
it lines
they had
up
a blast.
okay. It's when it's the car that he's not supposed to be destructive on.
That's when you're like, no.
Oh, Detroit was a lot of fun. That just parlayed into some of the best times I've ever had in my life, and I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about Snake River and, the drunk cop. And it's
Aston
just
Martin rally car versus jet boat. That
I
was a
mean,
fucking rad shoot.
dude, yeah, you mean
incredible.
might as well talk about it because that was pretty badass. I mean, it was shot really well. It came out really really cool. The race of them, and then just what we got to do after, it was amazing as well.
That's one of
I,
those go Sylvie.
no, I was just saying, till this day, there's a couple shoots. That one, Rubicon. This one specific, where I will still pull up my phone video just to listen to that helicopter power or the helicopter
Yeah, the turbine powered
powered
freaking boat.
jet boat start
Yeah.
that Adam was incredibly nervous to be in. Listening to that fire up
Yeah.
is the most intoxicating noise ever, and I will still to this day just randomly pull up the video just to watch.
Well,
And
that's
just
such a
listen.
cool like the evolution, when you talk about like what's done behind the scenes to what ends up on camera. Like that shoot started on paper in Northern California with the Klamath River. Rupert and I went out, we found the guy. So it's like that same thing where you go, we want to race a jet boat against a car against a rally car. And I don't even know if it started with just jet boat versus something. And then it evolved into 3 because it was like, hey, look, schedule wise, we need to have a 3-header action film or whatever reason we ended up saying, okay, we got to have all 3 guys there. And so you find this, but we started in Northern California where we found a river, this super cool river next to this super cool road, and found this jet boat pilot, Ryan Rogers. And it was like, come with us, let's scout this road. So he brought his co-pilot, and we all met in Northern California. Rupert and I, we scout this river, and the guy's like, this isn't going to work. It's too shallow, not going to work. We need to go to the Snake River in Idaho where I live. And literally we that afternoon got on his co-pilot's private plane and flew to Idaho and scouted that. I remember making the call and being like, hey, can I get on this plane? And Alan going, no, as we're taking off, and landed. And it's like, okay, sorry, we're here. Oops, I already did this. So Rupert and I, we land in Idaho, and Ryan Rogers takes us out and is like, this is where we need to do it. We went out and, scouted it, and he's like, we're going to do it here. He knew everybody. He connected us with the city council. Yeah. He connected us with the county, got us kind of all the access in that place. But it's one of those things, like, that's how the show worked, was like, you chased something. It was like, we need to have this jet boat pilot. He's the best in the industry. We need to chase him. And so you go, okay, let's get him in. Where does he want to go? Okay, we need the car. Okay, we need this car. Where is it going to go? And so you would just chase these things and start putting them into place. And it's like, okay, now we're in Idaho. Now we're doing this. Now we're shutting this down. And it was just such a cool evolution of the whole deal. And then we got the entire Subaru racing team, the rally team. Yeah, they brought their whole support staff out there.
That was nice.
And it was just such a cool thing because there was so much enthusiasm behind it at every step. And you talk to like the county, and they're like, okay, this is what you want to do. Okay, great. We need to have these people out here. We're going to do this. Like we had like, yeah, it was just such a cool evolution of, let's start over here. No, that's not going to work. Let's go over here. Oh my God, this is so freaking perfect.
And it's, and it's like, there's so many times when this is the perfect example where you've got like such specific requirements where, okay, we need a river that's pretty much straight, but then we need kind of a gravel road sort of parallel to that. Then we kind of need pavement next to that.
Like, yeah, sure.
And it's just like,
sure.
And we need, because these guys are racing, like they're racing, and it needs to make sense. So it's like, you need the river, you need the gravel road for Tanner, then you need rut on the pavement. It's just like, what was awesome though about it is we really had the entire country at our disposal, which is, I mean, how many times, Adam, are we just like driving with Google Maps, random roads in like Nebraska? Maybe we can, I mean, we're literally driving the country on our computers. Like we could then go back into like Tabitha and John and be like, there's a road in
here's a super cool road. It's next to this. Yeah.
Georgia. That we could do. Then we like can build an episode around. It's like, it was just some of the most amazing times that were just hilarious is sitting in the office. So our office was like a huge, like bullpen area, just
I think
glass on one side.
I think I got some video of you singing "Happy Birthday."
Which
on the
time?
table.
Anyway,
Which time did he do
so it
that?
was a
Because like he
big
did it many times.
open
Oh, he did
bullpen.
it for everyone, not just for me. Oh man, I don't feel special
Still
after
be
all.
like serenading.
With desks. And we all had desks. So you could hear, there weren't partitions. It wasn't like office space where there's,
Yeah, no.
so you hear everyone talk. And this is a weekly basis where like, maybe you'll hear Adam over there be like, all right, we need a monkey and 3 dogs.
We need pigs,
and,
goats.
and it's just, and you just find yourself laughing. And then like the next day over here, it's like, okay, we need a horse, we need a trainer, we need the horse to be in the car. Then it's just stuff that the stuff that you'd come up with, and then every Friday it was great. We'd have pizza and beer, and we would just brainstorm episodes, and you'd try to come up with like, okay, this might sound silly, but can we shoot a Prius to the moon? It's like you start
you just start throwing them out there.
Send
Can
it
we
away,
launch it?
far away where it
Yeah.
deserves to be, nowhere near us. But all of a sudden you find yourself like, well, obviously that's ridiculous, but maybe we can go to the rocket sled in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And launch it at Mach 3. It's like, and all of a sudden, well, I don't know if you come up with the craziest, which is how we ended up coming up with amphibious vehicles, where, we're like, can we, take it to Hawaii? Obviously you can't. But then you start, well,
let's start reeling in a little bit.
Where
what
can
we do?
Really get to? Yeah.
Then we would call Dennis at Vehicle Effects. And, I guess, so there's a company called Vehicle Effects that they're the most incredible fabrication shop really in the world. They've made the Batmobile. They do all the movie cars. I mean,
every Fast and the Furious,
every single Fast. I mean, they make those cars and they make them work. They're incredible. And we would call them random. First of all, Dennis, who owns the company, has never said no in his life. He just
that's Dennis's company. Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
He just makes everything happen. And you'd call them and be like, we're trying to do X, Y, and Z. But this time it's like, hey, so we need 3 amphibious vehicles. Like Rutledge wants this, Tanner wants that, Anna wants that. And we need it. And he's like, well, you need it to work? We're like, yeah. He's like, you guys are going to launch them? Like, yeah. He's like, done. He's like, what do they want? I'm like, Anna wants a Jeep that turned into a jet boat. Okay, done. Tanner wants this old, Mitsubishi, like whatever. What was the hell that thing was? The old Mitsubishi Turbo.
It was like from the Cannonball Run.
I don't know, whatever. And I can't believe I'm getting old. I can't remember like an idiot. And Rut, obviously, because he's Rut, he wants a VW Cabrio. And on the front,
who turned it into a swamp boat? Didn't someone turn one into a swamp boat?
That was Adams.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, like 2 months later, they show up, and it was just it was incredible.
Like he took like in the beginning too. He took the work too because he was like, this is so different and I like it. We never had enough money for him. I felt like could pay him what he wanted to really charge, but I felt like he always kind of did it because he's like, God damn it, okay, this is so different. This is so different. Okay.
Yeah, he's like, wait, you want to do a half VW Cabrio, a half Sea Ray jet boat? Fine.
I don't know if he did. We did season 2 or whatever. We did limos. Were you guys still did you limos? We did double-ended rabbit pickup. We did so it steered and drove from both sides.
Oh, Jesus.
We did like a 55-foot Corvette limo, and then Adam did a Pope Mobile. And then we did something where we were trying to go to the Emmys, but we couldn't really go to the Emmys, so we went to the daytime Emmys because it was easier.
I remember that episode.
Fuck, that was silly. Yeah, silliness.
Donny.
Silby.
Bodette, Minnesota.
Minnesota. Oh my God, it was cold up there. Way up there.
I still have one of the jackets. Bodette.
I have mine too.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I've met Eddie Bauer. We're kidding out, man. Yep. Eddie Bauer Ascent Line, the best, the warmest.
Whole deal too.
Yeah.
That was the most. If you were ever going to talk about a producing job that the team had to do, there was no producing job ever, just to get a deep dive of what can happen, than what happened that episode. We were in negative whatever 20-degree weather with a Subaru Legacy GT for Rut.
Such a good car.
I ended up buying it after the
Oh, I
episode.
love that car. It was great.
Yeah. I daily
I drove it like a Jaguar for you.
Yeah, it was
Forgot
amazing.
about that.
I use that to pull. Wait, I use that to pull other vehicles out.
Yeah.
By the way, I
That
just
thing was
use
a
that to tow it.
beast.
Yeah, it was great. Sorry.
Adam had a Blazer and Tanner had a 300Z
The 300Z.
non-turbo, which is part of the story. On beauty days, we were not 10 minutes into the shoot, and Tanner throws a rod in the 300Z. Car's done. I still have a picture of the rod through the block. Car's done. Mind you, the entire crew is in Bodette, Minnesota, and we're shooting this episode. Come higher, hell, what?
It's way up there by the border of Canada. Way up there.
Exactly. So we're like, crap. Where are we going to find a 300ZX yellow? That
A weird, like a pastel yellow, right? Wasn't
What
like
was
a
that?
kind of like a.
Well, it was. So we're like, okay, we gotta figure out how to do this. Well, I don't know, 2 hours later, the engine blows on Adam's Blazer. So now we have a Blazer down and a 300Z down. The Subaru obviously was in its element, so there's no problems there. And we're shooting tomorrow, essentially. And now it's like probably late afternoon. And we're like, well, shit. I mean, we can't call off this episode. We rented this entire proving ground, this ice proving ground. So
we only had CarMax. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine if we had CarMax?
Yeah.
I mean, CarMax would have been just amazing. Sorry.
Can you imagine?
CarMax.
So we ended up going
It'd sell
door
the
to
shit
door
boxes we wanted.
in the neighborhood of Bodette, knocking on people's doors. Do you know anyone that has like a 92 Blazer? Like, actually, it was a newer. It was like a 94. Anyway, door to door to door to door to door. Finally, someone's like, actually, my cousin, whoever has a Blazer, but it was blue, and Adam's was brown, and we obviously had to have it match.
Because you'd already shot stuff, right? You'd already shot.
Yeah,
You'd
we're
shot a
halfway
decent
through.
All the
amount of
opening
B-roll.
shots, probably all the B,
all the
all
B-roll, all the
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think Adams was, Adams, it was blue, and anyway, it was brown. We found a blue one. Anyway, got the car. His cousin ended up being a painter, so he painted this blue Blazer brown in his garage overnight to have
That's
it
right.
ready for the next morning. So for anyone who wants to go back and watch the episode, the B-roll Blazer is not the same Blazer as the one in the episode. But we're still a car down. So now I'm on the phone basically trying to find a 300ZX all night. Found a kid in Minneapolis, which is like 5 or 6 hours away, who had a twin turbo, low mileage 300ZX. And when I can't believe how much it was like 13 grand, which is an absolute steal beyond steal. But at the time, it wasn't as much. Anyway, I remember saying to Tab, I'm like, we need 12 grand cash. And I remember us being like, what? Like, we found the car. It's like, it would cost a lot more to cancel the episode.
Right. How much is this episode?
He calls Grace, our accountant back in LA, and is like, is there a way to what? Grace pulls her Grace magic. We somehow get 12 grand cash wired to Bodette. Pick up the 12 grand cash, pay this kid. First of all, I say we're Top Gear. He's like, what? He drove this thing up with his buddy in like a Honda Civic following him and sold us this car sight unseen.
It's amazing.
Mind you, the car was red. Tanner's that we already shot with was yellow.
Whoops.
I called this painter dude in his garage back up and like, we got another one for you. So I have pictures I can send you, Donnie, with two 300ZXs side by side, two different shades of yellow.
Oh my God.
Remember that like heated clubhouse where we sort of had where we store the cars overnight?
Oh yeah.
And that actually was the pubic hair paint job.
Yeah, I was just gonna wonder if that was the pube hair. Yep.
And how long did this happen? The time span that
overnight.
I was gonna say overnight.
Oh, overnight, really? Overnight. Okay.
It went from one afternoon. I'm making this time up because I don't remember what time it was. Call it 1 in the afternoon.
Right.
To have two brand new cars painted and ready for like beauties at like 7 a.m.
Wow.
what some of the producers of the show got
That's a
stuck with.
snippet of the responsibility that landed on David and I's shoulders.
Yep.
So
And-
glamorous.
And Travis, we can't forget Travis.
Sure. Yeah, because he was on that one, right?
Travis
That was Travis
open to
too?
that.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Yeah,
you have no choice.
the sacrifices you guys made. I just think of one that Beardy had to do, and we don't have to talk about it. Navajo Nation to Moab. We talk about that a lot, and
was that in the rental cars?
that was rental
one?
cars. Yeah,
I don't think either of us were on that one.
Oh well, we
I was
talked about that a
pretty
lot.
but
so
I wasn't actually.
that's why it's so
out
fun.
there.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, that
But
was.
we were on Rubicon, Donnie.
See, I wasn't on Rubicon, so.
Yeah.
But guess what? We were on the military episodes.
I did the military. Who did Continental Divide?
I was not.
Donnie,
I was not on the
I
Divide.
wasn't on Continental
Oh
Divide.
man, in the minivans, Continental Divide in the minivans. That one was silly. So it was like the covered wagons, like us recreating the covered wagons of yore, and it's just like you just talk about this, and you're like, geez, it was just such a silly time of like something like the way the episodes broke down, you had like a handful of different kinds of segments, and like each one, something was the center of it. It was like, okay, we're doing minivans over the Continental Divide. Okay, then you go, how do you make that work? Okay, we're doing cold weather, winter tire testing. Okay, well, we obviously got to go to, Minnesota, right up by Canada. Okay, so then what does that all mean? And you get these like ideas, these little kernels, and then it just like expands as everybody starts to like figure it out. You figure out what the cars are going to be. You start to find a location. You find whatever quote unquote expert you're going to have or whatever. And you just start to see these segments go from like, we want to race a Mustang against a Mustang. And then you're like, okay, what does that mean? And you're like, well, we're going to have two Mustangs, and then we're going to have two horses, and then we're going to do a package handoff, and we're going to do it in, Moab.
Yeah,
and
man.
You start looking at these ideas and you're like, geez, okay.
But that's where one of the other producers on the other side will be like, wait, didn't they have a Mustang airplane? Why do we then have the, like...
Yeah. And you start to like spin, and it was just such a cool time of like, there weren't really rules, right? Like there weren't like
yeah, it's definitely a different time.
Well, and I just think also it was just reality TV was young and new enough, and it was such a different type of show that it got people excited. And it was before big shows came in and like took advantage of locations. It felt like the way we went into most locations, it was rare that we ruined relationships, I think, like because of the way the crew worked, because of the way the hosts were, other than a couple of, unhappy people in random places because they're just got to stick up their butt.
This was also Top Gear in its prime, like UK, like
exactly.
prime,
like we were, it just had such a good, and it wasn't anything that took advantage of people. Nobody looked bad except for themselves. Like the guys, it was always like them self-deprecating. It was never like, let's go and shit on somebody else. It was always like, internal kind of stuff. And it was just such a cool show that just doesn't like exist like that anymore.
And what was really, really cool about it is like Adam, Tanner, and Rut, I know there's probably people watching thinking that, they're not roughing it, or they're going back to a hotel, or that, no, like these guys, like I was always constantly impressed where it's like, they are doing everything we're doing. They're eating some of the shit we're eating. We're in the middle of nowhere. Like they're sleeping in tents when we're sleeping. Like they were so. I don't know if I've ever worked on another show, this sort of travel type show where the talent is absolutely just one of the guys
in the trenches. They were in
they
the
are
trenches
just,
with
exactly,
for sure.
just deep in it with us. Like they're doing everything with us. Like they're like genuinely like on their hands and knees underneath the car fixing stuff. Like it's just it was just
They were
looking back.
invested. They were invested in the whole deal, like across the whole board. Like they all were. Like we all were. Like
Adam talks about that. He says he didn't have a trailer to go to. They shared a Suburban. They ate together. We all ate together.
Yeah.
So it just added to the whole family atmosphere and why we got on so well, I think.
Right. And that's why, 10 years later, we can still bullshit about the stories,
Yeah.
and it's all good. It's all good. Like, it's all like really, really enjoyable stories that were like, oh God, right. Oh God, right. Oh God, right. That led to that. Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
every once in a while, which just reminded me now, that you're saying that, I'm like once in a while when we did used cars, one of them would have air conditioning, and
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
One of
whoever's
them.
car would have like let's
The
say
most working,
Adam
the
or
mostest working air
yeah,
conditioning.
whoever wanted, what I don't know what we're doing, like well, it's like, yeah, I want the Honda Element for, like the post office or whatever. It's like, and like if his has air conditioning, it's like they are just your best friend now. It's just because when you're out in the desert and we have these old pieces of crap, they don't have air conditioning and
Dude,
you
I was thinking
forget about it.
more for us having to drive those things
Us,
just
yeah.
about as
Shit
much as they
boxes.
had to
Yeah,
drive those
yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah. Often, probably more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because they'd always, I don't want to drive anymore. Then to
Yeah.
get in and drive one of those things.
Well, I mean, like, talk about another perk was the fact that we got a chance to buy a lot of the cars that came off the show, and how many different cars we ended up in our own driveways.
Which, I
Good,
mean,
bad, or ugly.
you guys can speak to that. I don't think I've bought one thing.
You didn't
Please
buy one?
yourself. No.
Really?
So
Oh
funny.
my God. I think I did. I didn't even do that many, and I think I did 3.
Yeah, I think.
Four.
I mean,
Four.
I
Sylvie can't
Sylvie,
even recall. He's
Sylvie,
like,
I don't even know.
nah,
10,
I mean,
12?
it got to 8, 9, 10, something. It got to a point where Tabitha was like,
Sylvie, you can't. You're wheeling and
let's
dealing
first
this.
see if
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody
it's a
else.
sickness.
You're not supposed to be making that much money off it. It's supposed to be for like,
Well,
charity
no,
and stuff.
well, here's the deal. So we, the crew is the one that got to buy because we modified all these cars, and for legal reasons, like, if we're
Yeah.
modifying these cars, if we're moving the steering wheel to this side, if we're doing, we can't sell it to the public. It's too much of, a liability.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
someone gets hurt with the modifications we made for the show, which makes sense. So the people who worked on the show, or close to it, you're involved with production, got the first right of refusal to buy these cars. And I mean, out of all the cars we bought, I'm the most jealous of Adam's XJR from
Appalachian.
Adam.
Oh, a 99 Jaguar XJR.
Thing
Oh, yeah?
was
Wow.
bulletproof.
Oh,
that was, you drove that thing to Santa
I
Barbara.
drove. So I
thing-
took two Top Gear cars to Santa Barbara with 50% success rate. One was an 88 5 Series that I remember loading up with picnic gear, camp gear, strapped to the roof. When we made it out to Santa Barbara, and coming back on like a Saturday morning up the hill, up the 101, like right out of Camarillo, it started smoking. And I'll be the first to tell you, and this will probably come up, but make it unbelievably clear in Max's Motor Minute, I know very little about cars. I'm not a mechanic. I remember pulling over at a gas station and joking with my buddy at the time, being like, I'm pretty sure all that smoke is supposed to be inside the car.
You're like,
So I remember opening up the hood, it smoked, and I looked at Bryce and I was like, what are we going to do? Let's keep going. Shut the hood. We kept going.
I remember I got a call.
I called you. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do, Sylvie? What do I do?
power through. Just power
So-
through.
Drive it.
Called a tow truck driver. He hauls it over. We park it in my driveway. The next day, I'm like, let's just see if it starts. Started up. I was like, okay, let's drag it some more. I remember driving around town, went to Taco Bell just down the street in like Sherman Oaks, died on the way back. We just coasted it to the sidewalk. I left the keys in it. We just left it right there. Came back the next day, had a friend push start it, started up.
He's in it.
100%. And like,
Hoping maybe it'd be gone. Damn
I was like, who cares? It was a $500 car. I was like, someone steals it, I don't care.
Oh my gosh.
And then the Jaguar XJR was luxury that I was not ready for. That thing was so legit. And I remember getting pulled over in Santa Barbara for doing a burnout between a stop sign, and this lady cop pulls me over. She's like, what were you doing? And I was like, I just didn't know it had that much power. And I remember very distinctly before doing it saying, hey guys, watch this. So
You're like,
I was pretty sure I knew.
Adam, there seems to be a trend there because you also got us pulled over in the orange McLaren on the on-ramp.
Oh, right. Right. Oh my God. And I think there was a hey,
Something-
watch this moment there shortly there too.
It was, but funny, doing a throwback, what got out of the ticket was we had a metal Top Gear plate between the seat, and the cop looked in, he goes, "What is this, Top Gear?" And that, I mean,
And I remember
this
him
was
saying,
triple digit.
and he said, he said, I trust you guys. I don't know what will happen to somebody else, so drive slower. And we're like, and I remember
wow.
having like a flash in my head. I'm like, I'm done. We're gonna get pulled over. Like I'm gonna get a ticket because like if someone had like a license taken away, like we're done on the show. Like I'm no value to the show. I can't drive anything. And I just remember having this moment of being like, holy shit, David, that was so close. Like,
And I had the moment of, sweet, I'm gonna be driving.
yeah,
now.
you're like the passenger. You're like, great, officer, I'll drive.
Yeah. But it literally, I swear, the Top Gear plate sitting, I rarely goes yesterday, sitting between the seats, and his eyes went right towards it.
Yep.
That
It
saved
smoothed
a
this
lot.
over. Yeah. He was in a Dakota. That cop was in like a Dodge Dakota. And it was like, we blew by him, and it was like, I think we looked at each other and was like,
Uh-oh. Oh, here we go. Better slow
I
down.
don't remember what he was driving, but I just remember.
I distinctly remember it. It was a Dodge pickup. It was a pickup.
When I was coming back from that shoot there in Minnesota, I was driving Dan and Rupert, and coming around this curve, I was going a little fast, and there was a cop coming the other way. He turned around. I'm like, oh, here we go. And I was getting pulled. What?
You got pulled over on those windy roads?
Oh, yeah.
Because we got pulled over too. Travis was driving way too fast to try to get, because the Packers were on that night, and he was trying to get me,
because you went through Top Gear without missing a Packers game.
Yeah, he would not.
Somehow
I won't work on Sundays. No, I will not miss a Packers game. I mean, Donnie's a big Seahawks fan. He gets it.
I get it.
But anyway, and Travis was trying to get me to Bodette. It was Monday Night Football, and he got me there while being pulled over. And to be fair, we were pulled over by a padiddle, which is bullshit. A cop should not have a padiddle. Both lights need to be working on a cop.
What's a padiddle?
Yeah, for the layman, could you explain a padiddle?
Who doesn't know what a padiddle is?
Right here, 2 out of 3.
A padiddle is when only one headlight's working. I thought everybody knew that, so I'm sorry.
Now we do.
Now everybody
hashtag padiddle.
Padiddle. Adam.
Let's make it.
Adam, something. It's so funny. I literally never thought about that till just now when you said it. If one of us lost our license,
I know
we have no job.
I know. Like
I never thought about it.
No, I mean, like, yeah, it would have been not again. I didn't really think about that either. But like, I do think my reckless driving stopped on my own. Like I was like, I have all these chances to drive like a bat out of hell on the show. Like I'm gonna pump the brakes maybe a little bit. No, I don't know. I had a crotch rocket back then too, so maybe I'm bullshit.
Well, it's funny because that same thing. I remember when I drove that white Aventador back when we did the color changing paper.
Yes. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that was an versus crop duster.
Yeah,
no. Yeah. It wasn't Inyokern. It was
that was on
Bakersfield.
That's right.
Was it Bakersfield or Fresno?
Yeah. It was Bakersfield. It was for sure Bakersfield.
Because that was I got too fast, and that's when I had one of those come to Jesus moments, and I was like, you know what, like we're so fortunate to be doing this, and
I'm just gonna tap the brakes a little.
Like we're good, like because we get time to beat on these cars on tracks. It's like there's no reason to do it on this.
You have those and I do know because I can track kind of the moments in. And it was funny too, because like I felt like when I started the show, I was a little brother to everybody. I was Tab's little brother. I was Rupert's little brother. I was a young producer on it. And I remember the first time I stood up to Rupert and I took the keys away from him, and it was on Aston Martin. He wanted to take the Aston Martin. And I was like, no, we haven't even shot with it yet, Rupert. No, absolutely not. And I remember him doing his, and I was like, you could drive it afterwards, like not before. And I just remember being like, okay, maybe I do know what I'm doing here. Maybe I have flipped over a leaf here.
That was hard. Like it was hard because Rupert, and I mean, as nice as the guy he is intimidating if you don't really know him. And
100%.
It's like,
it's intimidating if you don't know him.
100%. I think it's still kind of intimidating when you do know him, but
But what you're saying is right, Adam. Like there are times when, and also like our entire like Adam, our entire reputation were on the line.
Yeah.
So
100%.
if someone takes the car out for dinner the night before the shoot,
Yeah.
and even if someone hits it in the parking lot,
Right. Even if it wasn't at all to do with them, like
Liability.
the weight of that stuff, like started, early on, I didn't know the weight and I didn't know really what it was. But like, as you got a little bit further into the show, that weight of like you said, David, where a car blows up and you're like, okay, the whole show hinges on this car. Like, because they were a fourth character in the show, they absolutely were as important as the guys, the cars. I mean, they were. And so like, if you lost any of these supercars, it would be like, we're in some big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened. I mean, none of us were working on it, but that season of Top Gear, like the one after us and before
Rolls Royce.
Dax, and it was again, I wasn't working on it, but remember what happened with the Rolls Royce,
Yeah.
where the camera went through the windshield and almost killed someone, and it's just like,
Yeah.
which sort of goes back to Donny. Donny, you do a lot where you talk to us, but we need to like give you props of how amazing you were. I mean, you had people's lives in your hand a lot, where it's like, the timing that you have to have when you call action. And if Tanner is going 100 whatever miles an hour and there's a camera inches off the side of the road, and you're responsible for putting people in the right place and like the amount of responsibility that you have, and for relaying to Tanner, like, hey, half mile down, he's going to be going triple digits easy. There's going to be a camera guy on the shoulder right here. And Tanner he is, everything you're saying must be dead on, because he is flying right by him.
Yeah.
And if you're off,
trust.
it's just the
When you have
amount
to
of
have those moments,
responsibility that you have in a lot of these moments is just, not anyone can do your job, that's for sure, because you can literally get someone killed if you're not good at it.
Well, it's taking the step back from the enthusiasm of the moments, right? Like where the camera guys are like, I need to be right here. I absolutely need to be right here. And you're like, get the fuck out of there. You absolutely cannot be right there. I do not care what the shot is. Get the hell out of there.
Because unless you're Rupert, where you're holding the camera and Tanner's doing donuts and he's 3 inches from the
exception of that, of course. But no, I get it. Thanks, man. I mean, safety first, and like we were very safe. I mean, it didn't cost anyone their life.
You think about the 72 episodes, I think is what our version of Top Gear did.
Wow.
Multiply that by minutes shot, multiply that by times driven, multiply that by how many times we did things. Yeah. And I mean, no
one got hurt.
I mean, right? Like not anything that was like, when you hear tragedies on stuff, like we got through it because it was communicated. We tried, we took every chance we could to be safe. We talked through stuff, and minimized it. And a lot of that hinged on, Donny, you as the AD, of making sure the set knew what was happening and what we were doing.
And no egos.
And no egos. Zero egos.
That was it. I don't give a shit if you are a PA first day on the job, or if you're some catering crew, which not like we had catering crew often, but like it didn't,
catering
didn't
crew.
matter.
For you on.
What? Well, in Iceland, of course.
We had some catering Bodad, but it did not matter who you were, and Donny made it very clear as well. If you see something that is not safe, get on channel 1 and say something.
Yeah.
And because
everybody's got the right to call it.
Sometimes, you can't, because it gets in your head. You're out there like, we're shooting Top Gear. Like we are shooting Top Gear, like the most like famous car show in the world. And you sometimes, because you watch it on TV and you're watching a TV show, but when you're filming it, you're not watching the TV show. You're filming the TV. So it's like things can happen. You can drive a car off a cliff and die.
Yeah.
So it's just like you sort of have to reel yourself in sometimes, where the one thing I also learned actually from you, Donny, I remember you telling, you may not remember, but I remember telling this, where it's like there were times when you sometimes don't have to be going 100 to make it look like you're going 100. Like when we're doing B-roll, sometimes if you're opposite of what I was saying about Detroit, where it's faster. There were times where it's like with the right angles, you only need to be going 60, 70 on some of these windy roads, and it'll look like you're going 300 miles an hour.
Yep.
And
100%.
strictly because of safety. It's like, listen, we don't We'll make it look good. Just be safe when you're driving.
Yeah.
Just be safe,
Yeah.
man. You don't have to.
We'd like to keep doing this. We'd like to get
let's
another
keep the
shot.
car on the road.
Yeah. It's not
Keep
Well,
it
worth
thank
it.
you, thank you, Donnie, for keeping everyone alive.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun, and it's just I think I thrived in controlled chaos, where a lot of people that don't and can't, and I think that was my maximum capacity right there. Like those RPMs are running high. So, but thanks, guys. I appreciate it. One last question: what do you think the chances of a show like this ever coming back? Coming back, with the three at hand, Tanner and Adam.
I'm just gonna say it. I don't know who's watching
Break
this.
the news
Who's
right
not
here.
watching this. Well, there's no breaking news, trust me. But I have, and I've been in the room with Adam and Tanner. I have pitched a few different variants of the show, and I will bet my reputation. I will bet anything I have. I will bet my house. I will bet anything.
Whoa.
If one production company out there took a chance, it would rate. People would love it.
Yeah.
The problem is nobody is buying anything anymore. It's just to sell a show. Like no one's taking chances. No one's.
I think it'd be a hard show to produce now.
You could.
I think
You could do
locations.
it.
I think it'd be harder. Like
you need the budget.
Right. I think
money.
yes. Okay. So yes. That's the statement, right? There's no way we'd get the access we got, what we got then, for the prices we got then. Yeah. Like at all. Like you call any of those same locations and they'd be like, yeah, here's our day rate. And you'd be like,
I know right now, Adam, if we wanted, if someone said to us, hey, Netflix, if you're listening, fine, we'll give you one episode. We could have 3 supercars by tomorrow morning. We have the crew, we have everything. And it would be incredibly fun and people would watch. The problem is convincing a production company or studio is almost impossible.
See, that's why you have to go through a streaming platform like YouTube and find some sponsors or a sponsor that's large enough that want to sponsor the show and dump money into it. And that's how you produce it. And that's how you get around it.
Super rich people listening,
anyone that wants to throw down money,
numbers are following. Just go
for Donny Productions. Let's go for Donny Productions.
Low 7 figures. Like, what are we looking for? High 6, really high 6 figures for a decent pilot. Like low 7.
Yeah, low 7 maybe. I mean, stranger things happen. So I think it would be really cool. I think they do. Yeah. They're just so much fun together. And there's so many people that still, through chat groups on Facebook and Reddit to talk highly of them, and they say that they would love to see them come back as well. So. It'd be fun, and I do have a writer. I made Tanner say it on tape that I'd be the preferred assistant director if he does come back. So it's date stamped and everything. So I'll use that in a court of law.
That'll hold up. I think
that'll hold up big time, right?
100%.
Come on, someone out there, one last chance,
one last run,
one last shot.
Top Gear US version 4.
Well, thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to check out our website at gofordonny.com. This will only be an audio podcast, you guys, but this is also
gofordonny.com.
gofordonny.com. That's my website.
Gofordonny.com.
That's the website, gofordonny.com. Check it out, you guys. There's fun links. There's fun pictures that I think both of you are probably a part of. And there are links to the podcasts and the video podcast, which I was just trying to say that it's not only a podcast, but it's a YouTube podcast as well. So please check it out. Please subscribe, like, follow. Follow us at Go for Donny so we can grow our channel, our audience. Hashtag Go for Donny. And as my mother-in-law likes to say, hashtag HTFU. And people can always follow. They can also follow us on our social media links at the bottom of our website or down here at the bottom, you guys. It's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're everywhere. Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, etc. So check it out, you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on and sharing some stories. You have to think of some more stories and come back on and share some more so that way we can grow our audience and keep this going, because it's not only about Top Gear, it's about any fun, crazy behind the scenes story from productions or set or film sets. So,
well, this is perfect timing because I got a 10-1.
That's a good one. 10-1.
I got a 10-2 coming up.
10-2. All right. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it. Cheers. Remember,
Thanks, Donny.
HTFU. HTFU.
Production for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Locations for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Habitat for Donny.
Go for Donny.
Hey, Donny, what the hell are they doing?